How to swap variables the easiest way. The traditional way is to use a temporary variable to hold the value during the swap. But in Python, we can do it in a more concise way using tuple unpacking. Both gives the same output. How to reverse a string in Python. In Python, you can easily reverse the string using slicing method. In this example, let's reverse the string hello world. Let's use the print function to get the output after applying slicing method. The output is the reversal of the string hello world. Let's see how to convert string to a list. To convert a string to a list, you can use the split method. The split method splits a string into a list of words based on a specified separator. By default, it splits by spaces. Let's see how to convert a list to string. To convert a list to a string, you can use the join method. The join method concatenates the elements of a list into a single string with a specified separator. In this code, we have joined list into a single string with spaces between the words. Creating a list of squares can be done traditionally by using a loop and appending each squared value to a list. Here's the traditional way using for loop. However, with Python's list comprehensions, we can make this code shorter and more readable. Both code gives the same output. To merge two dictionaries, the traditional method involves copying one dictionary and updating it with the other, while Python provides a more elegant way to merge dictionaries using the unpacking operator. Both gives the same output. In Python, to find the maximum value in a list, the traditional approach uses a loop to compare each element. There is another way to achieve the same. We can use the Python's built-in max function to achieve this more elegant way. Both gives the same output. Creating a dictionary from a list traditionally involves looping through the list and adding items to the dictionary. With dictionary comprehensions in Python, this can be done more elegantly. Both gives the same output. To create a list of squares, we start with an empty list, use a for loop, and append each square to the list. It works, but it's a bit lengthy. Using Python list comprehension, we can achieve the same result in a single line of code. It's much more concise and readable. To filter even numbers from a list, we can start with an empty list, use a for loop, and append only the even ones. Effective, but quite lengthy. With Python list comprehension, we can filter even numbers in just one line. It's shorter, cleaner, and easier to read. To get user input, we use the input function and check if it's a digit before converting it. If it is, we print the number, otherwise, we show an error message. This works but can be simplified. By using Python's try-except block, we handle input conversion and errors in one step, making the code concise. It's a more efficient and readable approach. To find the minimum, maximum, first, and last items in a list, we use loop and if block for minimum and maximum, and index access for the first and last items. This works, but it can be streamlined. Using Python's built-in functions, we can find the minimum, maximum, first, and last items with simple, readable code. It's concise and much easier to understand. In this video, let's see 3 important built-in Python function for list. Ever needed to quickly add up all the numbers in a list? Just use the sum function. It makes summing up your list super easy. Want to sort your list in ascending order? The sorted function is your friend. It's efficient and keeps your code clean. Need to reverse the order of your list? Use the reversed function. It's a simple way to get your list flipped in no time. Let's see the 15 print function techniques every Python coder should know. Basic print, display a single line of text. Multiple arguments, print multiple items. Using separator, custom separator between items. Using and, change the default new line character. Combining sep and end, customize both separator and end. Printing variables, display variable values. Formatted strings, embed expressions in strings. String formatting, another way to format strings. Raw strings, treat backslashes literally. Different bases, print numbers in various bases. string interpolation, and older formatting method. Suppressing new line, control the end character. Flushing output, immediately display content. Printing to file, redirect output to a file. Unicode characters, include special symbols and emojis. Unlock the full potential of Python's print function. To square numbers in a list, traditional way, we define a function called square_numbers that takes a list of numbers as input. Inside the function, we create an empty list called result. We then loop through each number in the input list, square it, and append the squared number to the result list. Finally, we return the result list and print it to see the output. While this approach works, it involves multiple steps and the use of a loop function to achieve our goal. In Pythonic way to achieve the same result using the map function and a lambda expression. In the Pythonic approach, we use the map function combined with a lambda expression. The map function applies the lambda function, which squares each number to every item in the numbers list. This way, we avoid manually looping through the list. The list function converts the result from map into a list. This approach is much more concise and readable, demonstrating the power of Python's functional programming capabilities. In traditional way, to filter even numbers from a list, we define a function called filter_even that takes a list of numbers as input. Inside the function, we create an empty list called result. We loop through each number in the input list, check if it is even using the modulo operator, and if it is, append it to the result list. Finally, we return the result list and print it to see the output. While this method works, it requires a loop and conditional statements and becomes lengthy code. Now, let's see how we can simplify this process using the filter function and a lambda expression in the Pythonic way. In the Pythonic approach, we use the filter function combined with a lambda expression. The filter function applies the lambda function, which checks if a number is even to each item in the numbers list. This way, we avoid manually looping through the list and using conditional statements. The list function converts the result from filter into a list. This method is much more concise and elegant. Let's look at pairing elements from two lists using the traditional method. We define a function called pair_elements that takes two lists as input. Inside the function, we create an empty list called result. We then loop through the indices of the shorter list using range, min, len, list1, len, list2 to ensure we don't go out of bounds. For each index, we create a tuple with corresponding elements from both lists using list1, I, and list2, I, and append this tuple to the result list. Finally, we return the result list. This method involves multiple steps, including creating a loop, managing indices, and handling potential length mismatches between the two lists. While it works, it's verbose and requires careful handling of list lengths to avoid errors. In the Pythonic approach, we use the zip function. The zip function pairs elements from two lists into tuples automatically. This eliminates the need for manual loops and index management. The list function converts the result from zip into a list. This method is much more concise and readable, showcasing the simplicity and power of Python's built-in functions. To read the contents of a file, first let's take the already created text file, file.txt with text hello world. Now, you can use the open function with the mode R for reading. In this code, we use a context manager with the with statement to open file.txt in read mode. The file.read method reads the entire content of the file, and then we print it out. To write to a file, first let's take the file.text and ease the previous content. In this code, we open file.txt in write mode. And let's write the hello world again using file.write method. If the file already exists, this will overwrite its contents. If the file doesn't exist, it will be created. To append text to a file, let's open file.txt in append mode. Then append the text append this text using file.write method. This will add the text to the end of the file. The \n character ensures that the new text starts on a new line. Discover the power of Unicode in Python with the print function. From basic symbols like hearts, heartsuit, and music notes, to arrows, and math symbols like pi and infinity. Print Greek letters such as alpha and omega, or currency symbols like the dollar, and euro. Add fun to your code with emojis like grinning face and thumbs up. Don't forget weather icons like the sun and snowflake, and even chess pieces. Unleash your creativity with Python's print. Let's create a simple tkinter application to take user input and display it. First, import the tkinter library with import tkinter as tk. Define a function display_input to get text from the entry widget and set it to a label. Initialize the main window using root equals tk and set its title and size. Add an entry widget for user input with entry equals tk entry, root, and pack it with padding. Create a submit button using tk button and link it to the display_input function. Add a label to display the user input and pack it with padding. Finally, start the main loop with root.main loop to run the application.